we've only got a few minutes left, and I want to do one last round that has a very short answer, and that is from all of you. How quickly do you think this can go if you're pressed? We're talking about total decarbonisation, and let me preface that question with two examples. The one we all hear about, which is the picture of Fifth Avenue in 1900, no horseless carriages at all, and then not much more than 10 years later, we see the same picture, and what do we get? No horse-drawn carriages. So, this can happen pretty quickly. And solar, in Silicon Valley now, the gurus are saying, okay, it's been doubling every 2 years for 14 years. It's now, a tiny fraction of global electricity. But if it doubles 6 more times, and does so every 2 years, it's doing all the energy the world needs 12 years from now. Now, crazy idea. Who'd want that? Even a solar advocate. But because we've got the whole family of technologies to go for. But you see the point about the exponential growth, which the analysts struggle with. So here's my question. If you're hard-pressed, and don't worry if the answer is crikey, I don't know, because that's my answer. How long do you think this transition is going to take? Alejandro, we go.
Well, my answer is obviously, I don't know, but I think it's going to be faster than we expect. But I'm going to use this time with the mic to pick up on something Sir Richard just said. This weekend, or today actually, we say goodbye to Battersea Park. And I don't know if you can thank a park. You can obviously thank a person, but I'm going to thank a park. Because we are, Formula E, very grateful that Battersea became the home of Formula E in London. History was made in this park for motorsport, because here's where Nelson Piquet won the first ever Formula E championship. And Formula E in 20 years, 50 years, 100 years will be, I believe, the main motorsport in the world. And this is the place where the first time it happened. And today is the last day, so we're actually living almost also a historic day, a kind of slightly sad day, because it's the last day in this amazing park that we all love, and it will be always history of Formula E. But I pick up what Sir Richard said. We're going back to London, obviously. This is our home, and we want to have a race in the streets. And to know that we have the backing of Sir Richard is very important. So thank you, and we're going to do all our best to be racing in the streets of London. So that's what I wanted to say. And I really don't know how fast we're going to decarbonize, but I hope really fast.
Thank you, Jeff.
It's like guessing the market. You'd be guessing that, and then you throw Brexit in there too. So, but I won't go there. But I think if you look at when is it going to switch where everyone's off? I think it's more of looking at. I ran a large retailer in my private equity days, and what was interesting about most consumer companies and anything consumer-based is the top 10% drive a disproportionate amount of your revenue. So I look at that top 10%, that switch is when you'll see the tipping point go. And I see that top 10 probably the next 5 years. So that's where I see the true acceleration happening, is when that top 10 go. And that top 10 can be the top 10 customers of Hewlett-Packard, the top 10 most influential people. All of those things will focus in around that top 10. And then you look at all of the inhibitors behind it, right? So you see processing power will double over the next 3 years. Moore's law, we still know, will keep moving. So all of these things have to come together to make it right, and then also solving those frictions that consumers have. So all those things coming together, I see it probably in 5 years, you'll see your top 10 go.
Epic. Manuela?
Maybe more important than the length of the journey is the fact that we are already doing it now. And not only one or two companies or one or two countries, but as mentioned at the COP21, it's many countries together, many companies, and we are moving, we are progressing. And that's a fact. I could say 5 years, I could say 10 years or 20 years, and probably we cannot check. But the fact that many people and more corporations are on board, that we can check for sure, and it's the case.
Okay. Bruno?
So very quickly, I don't know. I think that we really need to see more and more disruptive technology and innovations coming through. It's not about just sort of improving the way we do things, it's about changing them completely. And, you know, you mentioned Moore's Law there. We're working on a technology that we call the machine. And going forward, we expect that to only use 1% of the energy that we use today to do a similar sort of calculation. So for us, it is about renewables, but it's also about reducing the amount of energy that we need.
Of course. Richard?
Well, if governments set the ground rules, and they have to sometimes be brave and set positive ground rules, and if, for instance, they said the vast majority, well, more than 50% of cars must be battery driven by within 10 years and 100% within 15 years, we would make that happen. And if we're going to get to carbon neutrality by 2050, we need governments to set those kinds of ground rules. And it will be great fun, really challenging to do. The cars will be that much more efficient. I mean, they're not going to keep breaking down. You know, they're only running on 3 parts or something. And you know, battery technology will get better and better. You know, and so on. So, and I think there are 1 or 2 countries actually. I think maybe have already said that. You know, like all cars that are on our streets, you know, within 10 years or 15 years are going to be battery driven.
Yeah. Well, that's a wonderful thought on which to finish this. That's all from us. I hope we can reconvene with the EPRI being on the main streets of this wonderful city here. I'm sure that will be the case. And thank you for all of you for your attention and coming here. We're just going to finish with a very short additional video to end proceedings.